President Mark Reid, you're about to head off to a meeting. A group of countries from the CONCACAF region will be meeting with the president of CONCACAF. What's some of the things you're hoping to hear, and what's some of the things you're hoping to let them know what is needed for Bermuda football for the next, say, 4 years?
Sure. I mean, it's a lot of it's just exchanging our ideas, and we want to hear about more support and what form that support's going to take in. It's not always money. Sometimes it's expertise, advice, sharing of success stories. A lot of that stuff doesn't happen in a boardroom. A lot of it doesn't happen, in a formal meeting setting. Some of it happens more in the social settings. So we're looking to do that, and also talk about what are the things that Bermuda needs, and how can we get them? Where can we get better surfaces? Where can we improve on the technical side of the game locally? Which again is one of the pillars that I'm looking to tackle in the next 4 years anyway. So it's sharing of ideas. We have some ideas that we're working on, and we're going to need some partners off island, and we're hoping to extend those conversations as well. Certainly don't want to steal the thunder of the technical director or anyone else, so I'll keep that until we're ready to release it. But exciting. But part of the process is these sort of settings. It's one of the things from the new CONCACAF executives that we should get together more often. And it doesn't have to be a full Congress for us to sit down and chat about football. And we're seeing the fruits of that already, where we're able to have discussions about certainly the Nations League, which is a big change for everyone. And you can't package all your questions and comments in an hour, because you go away from that meeting, and I certainly did the first time it was presented to me, and by the morning I have more questions, but of course the meeting was over. So you have the opportunity to talk about that, and so I'm hoping to have a bit of conversation about the Nations League, and even some of the feedback from the technical team. And find some answers to questions, and our way forward, what changes we have to make. So there's quite a bit on the back of my mind that we can discuss in these kind of settings.
What about the fact our geographical location hurts us in the wallet when it comes to either us going or teams coming? That type of discussion with the powers that be within the CONCACAF region to assist us even more because of that fact.
Yeah, that is actually a part of the discussion whenever we get together. So we were at the funeral of Captain Burrell last week. A couple of conversations about that. What should we do? I mean, we had a huge conversation about airlines and the Caribbean airlines and how well they're doing and how well they're not doing. Mm-hmm. So there's Air Antilles, there's Air Caribbean, there is Liat, there's a few of them. Mm-hmm. But understanding the airline business is something that we need to get our heads around, because that's been one idea. Why don't we have a CFU airline that helps to transport teams of all levels? And does that commercially make sense? So those are some of the discussions that, like I said, you can't have those in one setting. Mm-hmm. And one seating either. Because as you absorb information and internalize it, then you come back with something else. So our geographical situation is tough, but when you hear about other people's travel routes, it's worse than ours. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not. Our travel routes are pretty good. They're just expensive.
Right.
Whereas they have poor travel routes, but they're not expensive. Right. So it's You have our own idiosyncrasies, so you know, there's some more the conversations. You know, what do we do? How do we get matches at all levels? You know, the focus is beyond trying to get matches, traditionally trying to get matches for the senior teams, and senior men in particular. But you know, we need to expand that. We need matches for our youth teams.
I was going to make a note that the under 15 boys teams that will be facing Bermuda in August are actually having a round robin tournament right now.
They're having a tournament right now as we speak.
A little disadvantage to Bermuda because
Yes.
we're unable to.
And they're able to, because they're small islands close together. They can do that.
Is that a worry for the association that those teams are getting those matches and they will hit the ground running in August as opposed to we're going to be playing kind of catch up?
Worry, sort of, because you know, without that experience, the players are a bit behind just little things like the protocols. You know, the pre-game protocols. Our players are used to, you know, showing up at Shelley Bay and referee comes and looks at our cards and off we go. But all the other things that happen at the international level, they're not exposed to, and we try to reproduce it here, which we've done and will continue to do. But doing it live is not the same. So it's definitely that part of it. We try to replicate the intensity of the game by getting players to play older age groups. Sometimes our under 15s will play men, just to bring that intensity and faster pace of the game. So we try and replicate it, but of course, not doing it for real is a concern. So we have to. We're certainly going to consider how do we get matches for them. The easiest thing for us, and it's probably the route we'll take, but that's entirely up to the technical development director, is we'll probably start to go back to regional competition in the U.S., which is not international football, but it is at a higher caliber and a higher level. And you know, hopefully that it certainly worked for us in the past, but we need to, you know, figure out how we can go further than we did in the past. So.
All right. Well, I know you're in a hurry to get to the airport for your meeting this evening, tomorrow.
Yes. I'm back on Saturday.
We look forward to your return and possibly some of the discussions that you've had, and possibly what direction we can go in the very near future with all of football.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.